Have you ever watched someone say they want love and then disappear the moment love feels real? Have you ever felt confused by a person who seems warm one day and unreachable the next, as if closeness is both what they crave and what they fear? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about a question that sounds simple but touches something deep in the human heart. Who do avoidants marry and why it is often not who you think? The first idea is that avoidant behavior is not the same as not caring. It is often a protection strategy built from fear, shame, and old learning about closeness. The second idea is that the partner an avoidant chooses is rarely random. It is usually someone who fits a hidden emotional math equation, someone who makes closeness feel manageable until the deeper lesson arrives and the real karmic work begins. Let us step into a story because it is easier to understand the inner logic of avoidance when you can feel it through a real-life unfolding. Imagine a man named Nolan. Not a real name, but a real pattern. Nolan is successful on paper. He is reliable at work. He takes care of tasks. He keeps promises that involve logistics. But when it comes to feelings, he becomes vague. Not cruel, not loud, just slippery. He can be present and even romantic when things are light. He can plan a trip. He can buy thoughtful gifts. He can show up to family events. Then, the moment the relationship asks for emotional depth, he starts creating distance. His partner asks for a serious talk and suddenly he is busy. His partner asks where this is going and suddenly he needs space. His partner says, "I feel lonely," and suddenly he becomes defensive or shut down. And if the partner pushes harder, he may do something that seems irrational, like start a fight about dishes or money or schedules, as if the real issue is not fear but the surface argument. Nolan meets a woman named Claire. Claire is bright and kind. Claire is also tired. Not tired in the sleepy way, but tired in the way a person becomes tired after years of trying to be the reasonable one in every room. Claire has learned to read people quickly. She knows how to keep peace. She knows how to make herself smaller so other people feel comfortable. She is warm but cautious. She is loyal but not naive. She wants love, but she does not want chaos. At the beginning, Nolan feels safe with Claire. And Claire feels drawn to Nolan because he seems calm. He seems stable. He does not drown her in drama. He does not demand constant attention. He respects her independence. For a while it feels like the perfect match. He says, "I like that you are low maintenance." She says, "I like that you give me room to breathe." But here is the hidden mechanism. Nolan feels safe with Claire because her style does not immediately challenge his emotional walls. Claire feels safe with Nolan because his distance feels like maturity, not fear. Both of them are interpreting the same dynamic through different hopes. This is often why avoidants marry people you would not expect. Many assume avoidants always marry anxious partners who chase them. That happens sometime. But many avoidants marry someone who seems steady and self-contained because that type of partner does not force the avoidant to face intimacy too quickly. The relationship can function smoothly in daily life. It can look healthy from the outside. And that is exactly why it can go far enough to become marriage. Because marriage does not always begin with deep emotional attunement. Sometimes it begins with compatibility on paper. Similar goals, similar lifestyle, similar values, similar competence, similar social expectation. Many avoidants are excellent at building a functional partnership. Their struggle is not function. Their struggle is emotional exposure. So Nolan and Claire get engaged. Friends congratulate them. Family members say they are such a good match. They buy furniture together. They plan a ceremony. They talk about future children. Nolan seems committed. Claire feels relief. Finally, someone steady. Then the first real test arrives. Not because someone cheated. Not because someone screamed. Just the slow pressure of closeness over time. Living together reveals everything. The small habits. The daily irritations. The need for repair. The need for emotional checking in. The need for reassurance after conflict. The need for vulnerability when life gets hard. One week Claire has a rough time at work. She comes home and says, "I feel overwhelmed and I need you." Nolan listens at first. Then he starts offering solutions. Call your boss. Make a plan. Quit if it is toxic. Claire says, I do not need solutions right now, I need you to hold me. Nolan freezes. His body gets tense. He feels an internal alarm. He does not call it fear. He calls it pressure. He calls it being controlled. He calls it being blamed. But underneath the words is a simpler truth. Emotional dependence terrifies him. Nolan grew up in a home where feelings were not safe. Maybe nobody taught him how to talk about them. Maybe he was mocked for sensitivity. Maybe his caregivers were unpredictable. Maybe love felt conditional. The details vary, but the result is similar. He learned that needing others is dangerous. He learned that if you show too much emotion, you lose respect or you get hurt. So he became self-sufficient. He became competent. He built armor out of independence. That armor helped him survive. But in marriage, armor becomes distance. And distance becomes loneliness. Claire starts noticing a pattern. Whenever she needs comfort, Nolan goes into problem solving or avoidance. Whenever she brings up emotions, Nolan changes the topic or shuts down. Whenever she asks for closeness, Nolan becomes irritated. Not always outwardly. Sometimes he becomes quiet in a way that makes the room feel cold. Claire tries different approaches. She tries being gentle. She tries being clear. She tries giving him space. She tries making jokes to soften the mood. She tries going silent to see if he notices. But nothing changes because she is trying to solve a nervous system pattern with logic and technique. Now let us get to the heart of the question: who avoidants marry and why? It is not who you think. Avoidants often marry someone who fits one of these hidden roles, not as labels but as patterns. They may marry the caretaker type because a caretaker will tolerate distance longer and will try to fix the relationship rather than walk away quickly. The avoidant unconsciously senses safety in that tolerance. They may marry the highly independent type because that partner will not ask for emotional closeness often, at least not at first. The avoidant senses safety in the lack of pressure. They may marry the high status type because status gives the avoidant an external structure that replaces intimacy. It feels like the relationship is strong because the image is strong. They may marry a partner who is emotionally expressive but inconsistent because inconsistency feels familiar and therefore oddly comfortable. The avoidant can blame the partner for instability and use that as a reason to stay guarded. But again, the deeper truth is that avoidants do not simply choose people. They choose emotional condition. They choose a level of intimacy that feels tolerable. They choose a relationship that can run on function and routine until the inner lesson becomes unavoidable. And the inner lesson is always the same. Love requires presence. Presence does not mean constant closeness. It means the willingness to stay emotionally available. It means being able to repair. It means being able to say, I am scared without disappearing. It means being able to hear your partner's pain without turning it into a threat to your identity. Now let us connect this to karma in a grounded way. Karma is often misunderstood as punishment, but in lived life, karma is momentum. If Nolan has spent years training himself to disconnect from vulnerability, then disconnection has momentum. That momentum will show up most strongly in the place that asks for the most vulnerability: marriage. So marriage becomes the karmic classroom. Not because the universe is cruel, because intimacy is the most efficient mirror. It reflects every attachment and every fear. It reveals what you cling to. Image. Independence. The mirror does not judge. It just shows. Claire begins to feel resentful. She says, I feel like I am married to a wall. Nolan hears that and feels shame. But he does not know how to be with shame. Shame feels like annihilation to an avoidant nervous system. So he does what he has always done. He withdraws. Claire then becomes more intense. Not because she wants drama, because her loneliness is getting louder. She starts asking the same questions again and again. Do you love me? Are you happy? Why do you never talk about your feelings? Why do you shut down? Nolan feels trapped. He feels like he can never do enough. He feels like nothing he does counts. He feels that the relationship is a test he is failing. This is how the anxious avoidant loop forms. The more one person pursues, the more the other distances. The more the other distances, the more the first person pursues. Both are suffering. Both are trying to survive. Now here is where the story could go into directions. One direction is divorce. The other direction is awakening. Let us explore awakening first. One evening after a long, silent day, Nolan sits alone in the car in the driveway. He cannot go inside yet. Not because he hates his home. Because he feels like he cannot breathe there when emotions are on the table. He sits and suddenly realizes something. He is lonely too. Avoidants are often lonely even when they are the ones creating distance. They do not create distance because they want emptiness. They create distance because closeness feels dangerous. But the cost is isolation. And isolation becomes its own pain. Nolan finally admits to himself that he is afraid. Afraid of being needed. Afraid of disappointing. Afraid of being controlled. Afraid of being seen as weak. Afraid of losing his identity. Afraid that if he opens, he will not know how to close the floodgates. This is the turning point. Awareness. In Buddhist practice, awareness is the beginning of liberation. You cannot free yourself from what you refuse to name. When Nolan names fear, he has a chance to choose something else. He goes inside and says one sentence. I do not know how to do this, but I am scared and I think I have been running. Claire is shocked. Not because she wanted him to be scared, but because he finally spoke the truth. And truth changes the atmosphere. Claire responds carefully. She says, thank you for saying that. I do not want to control you. I want to feel close to you. Nolan says, I want closeness too, but I panic when I feel responsible for your emotions. Now we are at the real root. Many avoidants fear emotional responsibility. They grew up in environments where feelings were overwhelming or weaponized. They learned that if someone is upset, you must fix it, or you will be punished. So they avoid situations where someone might be upset at all. They avoid emotional intensity because it triggers that old helplessness. The healing path is learning that you can care without caring. You can be present without fixing. You can listen without being responsible for making the other person okay. So Nolan and Claire begin learning new skills. They learn how to regulate before talking. They learn to take breaks without disappearing. They learn to make repair after conflict. They learn that intimacy is built in small moments, not grand declaration. Nolan learns to say, I need 10 minutes to breathe and I will come back. And then he actually comes back. That is huge. Because the avoidant wound is not only fear of closeness, it is also fear of being trapped. A structured break creates safety without abandonment. Claire learns to ask for connection without chasing. She learns to soothe herself enough to speak calmly. She learns to tell the difference between a real boundary and a shutdown. Slowly their marriage becomes less reactive. Not perfect, but alive. Now let us explore the other direction. Sometimes the avoidant partner refuses to look inward. Sometimes they blame the spouse. Sometimes they choose numbness forever. Sometimes they keep running. In that case, the spouse often reaches a point of exhaustion. They realize they can love someone and still be lonely. They realize that love without presence becomes suffering. So Claire might leave, not as punishment but as self-respect. And that leaving becomes the karmic lesson for both. For Claire, the lesson might be boundaries and choosing mutuality. For Nolan, the lesson might be consequence and the pain of avoiding intimacy. Sometimes the pain finally wakes the avoidant up. Sometimes it does not. But either way, the karma moves. The momentum changes because action happened. Now let us answer the title question more directly in a human way. Who do avoidants marry? Often they marry people who can tolerate emotional distance for a while. People who are highly empathetic. People who grew up learning to earn love by trying harder. People who confuse patience with self-abandonment. Or they marry highly independent partners who look like a perfect match until both realize that two independent people can still be lonely if neither knows how to be emotionally open. Avoidants may also marry partners who take on most emotional labor because that arrangement keeps the avoidant safe from vulnerability. The avoidant then contributes through tasks, money, and structure. The couple becomes functional. But function is not intimacy. Function can run a household. Intimacy heals the heart. Why is it not who you think? Because from the outside you might expect avoidants to marry someone cold like them. But often they marry someone warm because warmth feels like medicine. The avoidant wants warmth. They just fear the cost of receiving it. Or you might expect avoidants to marry someone needy who chases. But often they avoid marrying extreme chasers because that feels suffocating. They may date them. They may have intense chemistry. But for long term they often choose someone who feels calmer, at least at the beginning. The avoidant choice is often about managing anxiety through relationship structure, not about true compatibility at the soul level. Now let us bring in wisdom and compassion, because without that this topic becomes judgment. Avoidants are not villains. They are people with learned protection. Their nervous system is trying to avoid pain. But intention does not erase impact. If you repeatedly abandon emotional presence, you create loneliness in your partner. Loneliness becomes resentment. Resentment becomes distance. Distance becomes the end. So the compassionate path is accountability with kindness. If you recognize avoidant patterns in yourself, the work is not to shame yourself. The work is to practice. Practice staying in conversations a little longer. Practice naming feelings in simple words. Practice letting your partner have emotions without fixing them. Practice tolerating the discomfort of closeness. Practice receiving care without turning it into debt. If you love an avoidant, the work is not to chase harder. Chasing often creates more distance. The work is boundaries and clarity. You can offer warmth. You can offer safety. But you cannot do the inner work for them. A relationship cannot survive on one person's emotional labor forever. Now let us look at the spiritual dimension again. Not superstition. Practical spirituality. In many contemplative traditions, the deepest human suffering comes from clinging and aversion. Avoidance is aversion. It is the movement away from discomfort. It is the attempt to control feeling by controlling distance. But life will keep presenting the same lesson until it is learned. That is karma. If you keep avoiding intimacy, life will keep bringing you opportunities to face intimacy. Sometimes through relationships, sometimes through loss, sometimes through loneliness, sometimes through aging when you realize time is limited and you cannot keep postponing love. So the question is not will the avoidant be tested? The question is, will the avoidant learn? Learning looks like humility. It looks like admitting fear. It looks like letting go of the identity that says, I do not need anyone. It looks like replacing independence as armor with interdependence as strength. Interdependence is not weakness. It is mature humanity. It means I can stand alone and I can also connect. I can keep my boundaries and I can also be open. I can be strong and I can also be tender. This is the awakened form of the masculine energy pattern often associated with avoidance. Not gender. Pattern. The unawakened pattern equates strength with distance. The awakened pattern learns that strength is the ability to stay present. Now let us close with a final story that brings everything together. Years later, Nolan and Claire attend a wedding of friends. They sit at a table and watch the people exchange vows. Nolan feels something in his chest. Not jealousy. Something softer. Regret for the years he spent hiding. Gratitude for the years he has been learning. He leans toward Claire and whispers, I used to think love was about having the right person. Now I think love is about becoming the kind of person who can stay. Claire smiles. She does not say, I told you so. She just squeezes his hand, because she knows the truth. You cannot force awakening, but you can invite it. And when it arrives, it changes everything. On the doctor home, Nolan tells her something he has never said clearly. When I pull away, it is not because I do not care. It is because I care and I am scared. I am learning that fear does not have to drive the car. Claire answers with calm clarity. I can hold your fear with you. I cannot live inside your distance. So keep practicing. And I will keep practicing too. That is what a mature relationship looks like. Two people turning karma into wisdom. Two people turning fear into compassion. to people turning habit into choice. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you recognized yourself in this, whether as the one who distances or the one who longs for connection, I would love to hear your story in the comments in your own words. What patterns do you notice in your relationships? What helps you feel safe enough to be present? What boundaries helped you stop repeating old loops? If you want more long-form talks about love, attachment, karma, wisdom, compassion, and the real practice of awakening in everyday relationships, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment so this community can keep growing. And if you want to support the work even more, consider joining as a member. Until next time, keep choosing honesty over hiding, keep choosing compassion over control, and keep walking the path where love becomes presence, not performance.